Welcome to Magical Women. I'm your host, Connie Boyd, and today I'm speaking with Mistie Knight, and this is our second sequel talk.
One of our signature pieces is Sawing Woman in Half. It's been around forever, but we added some things to it that made it more special and I guess more unique to our presentation. And at the beginning of it's the Wakeling Sawing, but at the beginning, and our whole persona on stage was always about getting the audience involved. With our illusion show, it was about before the show even started, we invited people up to examine this trunk and then sign it, and that was what we used in the finale. So they were instantly hands-on from the top of our show, and we tried to incorporate that aspect as much as we could. So we were able to do the Sawing in Half completely surrounded. At one point, he invites anybody that wants to come up, and sometimes we'd have 20, 30 people on stage. He started doing it this way, I think, as early as 2005. So he was one of the first people to really do that. And we also added a few other touches that kind of make it have an irreverent persona. And we have that style during our show too, where we're not afraid to kind of reveal secrets, obviously secrets that aren't really secrets, or, we're still one step ahead of them kind of thing.
Right.
But he would do that in the Sawing in Half. He would say, it's been around for over 100 years, so many different versions. This is what comes to mind when you think of the old Sawing in Half. And he would snap his fingers, and on the big screen behind him, you would see two big boxes and a girl with her head sticking out and her feet sticking out. And then he would say, but if you look closer, those boxes are huge. And that table she's lying on, it's not really solid. It's actually hollowed out. So this is what's really happening. And then he would snap his fingers, and the image would change to expose two girls, one curled up in each side. And he said, but that is how it used to be done. This is a new version. Magic is always growing and changing and reinventing itself. Even if you know how something's done, that doesn't mean it applies to now. So this is our version. Yes. And so that would be the lead into it. And then we would have them holding me down by my neck and my ankles, and they would surround us. And then in the middle of it, just when they think we're getting all serious, he would pull out a pair of fake legs and say, we're not even going to use these tonight. And then throw them on their head.
Yeah.
So it just kind of acknowledged what they're thinking. And it doesn't take them or their intelligence for granted, but it's like, we know magic's not real. We're not trying to pretend it is, but you know what? We're presenting this in the most impossible way. So That was kind of our take with it.
Right.
And it was obviously a classic, but we were able to kind of make it our own.
Yeah. No, it's creating your own signature to something. It's really important, developing your own material, your own style, your own branding. All of those things are vital to success, and you both are certainly very, very successful. So compliments.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great. Now, what would you say was the most difficult magic effect that you've learned?
Okay, so most difficult to perform, or?
It's your choice.
You know what? We call it through body, which is actually a psychological thing, because we don't like to use the official name of the illusion, whether it be talking to stagehands or lay people or on our YouTube or whatever. So we did interlude, but we didn't want to use that term, so we call it through body. And I perform it differently than anybody that I've seen, as far as girls going, in the process of how it's created or how it's performed. I do something different. And it made it more convincing because I was able to have a body positioning that really sells it more, I think. But it was really difficult. It still is. And it hurt every time I did it. But I think that was probably the most difficult. And one time we did a show. Well, we actually filmed a commercial for the city of Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. And it was during the Final Four, when I think it was in Vegas, and they wanted to have a magician in. And we performed that illusion. And it was because it was a commercial. We had to do it over and over and over and over again, back to back to back. I probably did it 30 times. I was so bruised the next day.
Yeah, completely beat up. Yeah.
Yeah, that one was physically the most demanding, I would think.
I think a lot of time people don't realize how physical illusions are, because the effect seems effortless, but there's a lot of, and we can't discuss it, but a lot of behind the scenes pain, blood, sweat, and tears that go into it that make it look effortless.
One of the scripts that I wrote for the show that Kyle uses for a close-up piece was talking about that, how with a singer or dancer or even an instrumentalist, if you can see and hear their art and understand what goes into it. But with magic, that's not the case. If you do see the difficulty, then we're performing it poorly. So it's supposed to be hidden, and that's how you know. Right. So you never really know.
Did you subscribe to our Magical Woman channel? Come on, you can do it. Subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you'll be aware of future Magical Women talks.
If I had to pin the most difficult magic experience of our entire career, that would have been Wizard Wars, the TV show that we did on Sci-Fi Channel back in 2015. It was kind of like Iron Chef for magicians, where they give you random objects and you don't know what they're going to be, and then you have to create magic with it. And I think on the show, it seemed like we had a matter of hours, which is obviously just TV. We
Right.
had a week in reality to come up with ideas, make it on your own, and then make it happen. And we had one rehearsal on stage before live filming. And so it was an extreme amount of pressure.
Yeah.
And it was really difficult, just working so quickly, doing things you'd never done before, and then with the constraints of TV as well. And the one time we did our rehearsal on stage, we ended up fooling Penn Teller with the trick that Kyle created. He borrowed one of the judges' rings, and it appeared, I don't know, 30 seconds later inside of an egg, a real egg behind them that they cracked open. There were no seams. It was not in other methods that you've seen of loading an egg. It wasn't like that. This was something he created, and it fooled them. They didn't know how it was done, because before they ever cracked it open, he looked at it in this glass and examined it, and then he took his pen and cracked it open, and it was his ring. But the first and the only time we rehearsed it before filming live was it appeared smashed behind them. So that was our rehearsal, and then we were like, okay, let's just see what happens. And then it ended up working well, and
Right.
we won the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so that was extremely difficult, just working under that pressure and the time constraints. And the first round, we had 2 rounds, and from knowing that we won the first round and going into the next round, we only had 10 minutes. And because we were dealing with TV, every minute costs thousands of dollars. And so here's some little behind the scenes. So we had just finished the first round, which they had given us a set of luggage, a bunny rabbit, and a cape was what our items were. And we ended up doing we had the luggage holding all of my 500 pounds of clothes, and it would smash on top of Kyle that was loaded in, because I put him in the box, which was really cool. And then I put this cape over me and did a handcuff escape, and I had to escape before he could, if I escaped in time, then he would get out safely, but I didn't. And I escaped too late, and it smashed on him. He appeared in the back holding the rabbit. That was the trick. But we won the first round, and there were 10 minutes into the next round. So I had to change costumes, and I had a quick change, which meant 2 layers of costumes for this next piece that we were going to do. And the production people didn't understand that. So they saw me standing on stage in a costume, and they were about to drop, because they had a curtain up saying, okay, we're going. I said, no, you're not. I'm still trying to get dressed. So I'm like half naked, quickly getting dressed in front of everybody while they're just yelling at us. And at the same time, we had a carton of eggs that had been placed there for our routine that were very specific in placement. And somebody came along and thought they were helping us or sabotaging us, who knows, filling this carton with eggs. So now so at the moment I'm trying to get dressed and they're yelling at us, time to go. Kyle's picking up eggs, throwing them off stage, saying, what is this? Why do we have these? And just getting rid of them as quickly as possible. So that was the chaos that happened right before curtain drops and we perform the routine.
And then you're completely composed. Yeah.
So that was a difficult experience.
Yeah. I don't know many entertainers that would have survived that one. That sounds just harrowing. Yeah. But at the time, you just go into that there's like a mode that you get into. I call it like damage control mode or emergency mode, and you're just in a zone and you're just ricocheting off. It's
happened so many times over the years. It's like, okay, here we go again. Let's go. We were in Egypt doing a show in Cairo, and they had a fire. We had done 2 days of these performances, and this was the final one. And before the final one, they had a fireworks display, and we were going to go on right after that. And everything was preset backstage. And this is a tiny little area, makeshift stage that was made in this arena kind of thing. And they were like, okay, fireworks. Okay, nothing to be worried about. Well, they didn't tell us it was actually a pyro and fireworks show. So these people in these big pyro costumes where they could barely see, and they had these huge fire shooting guitars, had just come through the backstage area. So then we watched the display, like, oh yeah, this is so cool. Then we go backstage, everything's trashed. We're about to go on. There's not a preset set. the Rubik's Cubes in a million pieces, the wooden puzzles all shattered on the floor. So there was no time because this was thousands of people waiting, you know, big corporate event. We had to just go. And so Kyle and I said, okay, I took my eyeliner pencil and I had the rundown with the person that was running the music. And I just went through, Kyle's trying to fix everything. And I just went through with my eyeliner, marking out, okay, cut this, cut this, cut this. I made the show order on the fly, gave it to him and said, go. Kyle didn't know what the show order was. We were in the middle of the show and I was just suddenly communicating with him. Okay, for this next one, we need to borrow a kid. Like I was just guiding him to it. He had no idea.
Okay, we're going to this number now.
Yeah, that's what happened. And it worked. But yeah, like you say, you just go into this frame of mind where you just make it happen.
Yeah. And I have, if you ever had watched me perform and you saw me turning, there was something really wrong on stage because if I'm turning, I'm moving, but I'm thinking. And so I thought I'll just do a slow turn. And so if I was turning a lot, there was something really wrong on stage. And I was like 3 steps ahead going, so you just see me like turn this way, turn this way. And then I got it. That was right.
You can't let them know.
No. I mean, sometimes you can't, it's obvious. You can't even, there's no sense pretending. But yeah, and we tried to make it, the show goes on. And
we've had one of those moments in the show. I think you had talked to me before about what was one of the worst things that happened on stage for our Sawing in Half.
Right.
There's tracks in the stage where they have lifts and they weren't level. And the technician wasn't holding it like he was supposed to. Since then, we've learned hands stay on this at all times. It tipped over with me in it. And there is no hiding what's happening at that moment. And I just remember being so impressed with Kyle because he handled it so well. And he said, all these people were standing on stage. He said, okay, if everybody would just close your eyes for a moment, that'd be great. And of course they laughed and it wasn't even a thing. We ended up getting a standing ovation that show. I don't know, maybe they felt sorry for us, but and then another time we had the compressed illusion tip over with me in it. Yeah. And it smashed my face. There was blood everywhere. But Kyle had a kid on stage because we actually incorporate a kid with the one that we do. And I remember he said, I'm going to go check. So the curtain comes down and I'm on the ground. Yeah. And the audience is like, what just happened? And Kyle looks at the kid and said, okay, I'm going to go check on her. You entertain the crowd. And the kid starts doing the Running Man dance. It just worked perfectly. And then I didn't even miss my costume change. I made it back out.
Right.
So I think the moral of the story is they are rooting for you to succeed. When things go wrong, if you just be real and don't lose your composure and just be like, okay, this is it, let's do it. Then they're going to stay with you.
Now, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Come on, you can do it. We need subscribers to obtain more privileges with YouTube. So please, please hit that notifications bell. Spread the word and comment. We love to hear from you.